For our columns, if I turn my grids back on, because we had turned them off in the exercise, so visibility graphics on my keyboard, I'm doing Control Tab, so it goes over to annotation categories, and then I'm typing in GR Spacebar, Tab, Enter. I was not joking when I said I pretty much live on the keyboard now. And we got some columns at grid intersections, so now's a good time to create the rest of these grids where I have columns. So I'm just going to go ahead and click this grid, do a CO for copy. I got my multiple checked because I remember the last time I used the tool. And then I'll just go ahead and place these other grids at columns here. And it looks like we are good there. And over here, we got a couple more grids that we need to create. And the reason that I'm taking my time to include all of these grids is because I'm thinking about the workflow that Revit has, right? So if we go and activate our column tool, and actually, you know what? First, let's take a quick dimension of these columns. So I'm going to type in DI. All right, so we got 15 by 36. It seems that that's pretty much the column that we're going to use everywhere unless we catch something. And let's just check here, but it seems that that's the same. Okay. And now on my keyboard, I'm going to type in CL for columns, CL. I'll look at my columns over there on my type selector. I don't got my 1536, and that's okay. We know how to duplicate now. But before I place anything, or before I go over here and look at the fact that we want multiple columns, let me set what their extents are going to be first. I don't want this column to go down in space. I want it to go up in space. And I want to go up to level 2. So the Z direction is set now. Now I can say I need columns at grids. Okay, cool. And now you choose the grid intersections where columns will live. So on your keyboard, press and hold Control. And we need one at H and I, which will probably change the names of those. And now we can select E. You can see I got a little preview there of my 24 by 30 column. And I need more columns at grid D. You can see my little preview. If the column is not in its correct direction, this is where Spacebar is your friend. Remember, we're still in preview mode. You see that we have two options on the ribbon, to finish and to cancel. So that means that we can now begin to press Spacebar, and you can see it's rotating. So after it rotates to the correct area or the correct direction, go ahead and press Finish. And now you can go in here into this one column, edit the type. You don't need to duplicate in this case because we don't have any 2430s on this project, right? So let's just rename, and we'll say 15 by 36, and we will update 15 inches by 36. And hit OK. There you go. So this is a pretty abnormal project. We don't have, columns that spaced out super symmetrically at every grid intersection. We got different columns going on here. So I can go ahead and place some more columns. So select a column that already exists. On your keyboard, type in CS. And now our options bar should already be set. So I'm going to hit at grids. And on my keyboard, I'll press and hold Control. Select both of these. And finish. And I could have selected that one as well, but you get the gist now. Okay. So we got some vertical elements created now. We have our elevator pit walls created, our elevator concrete walls that go from level 1 to level 2. And if we look at what's going on with this floor, You can see we got a floor, but then something else happens that's 3 foot away. So let's turn on our floor plan to see, this is where the floor plan comes in handy, to see what's going on there. So I did a visibility graphic. The key word for knowing that I need to turn that on is on. Whenever you're using the words on and off, when it's related to viewing and visibility, think automatically visibility graphics. So I'm going to go over to my imported categories and I'll look for my floor plan there. And let's just check that guy on and hit OK. And now let me just select that floor plan and isolate it. So the keyboard shortcut for that is IE for isolate element. Okay, so now this provides more clarity. Let's just assume that this is outdoors. But for the sake of keeping it complex, let's say that there's a step there, all right? We've spoken with the architect. We know what his design intent is, and he really means that they want to step down there, all right? So let's restore our view, HR. We can now turn off this architectural floor plan. So select it and type in HC for hide category. And now everywhere we see a 3'3" situation, we already know we're going to step down. Now, before we create our floors, there's something very important to note. As a rule of thumb, we need to create a floor every time there is a change in elevation, okay? We don't want to create one huge thick floor for this whole thing and then, you know, start slicing these voids out to represent these steps. That is something we do not want to do. So rule of thumb, every time there's a change in elevation, create a new floor. Now, let me just bring this wall back to where it needs to go. So I'm just going to use a line, DL, for detail lines or draw lines. And I'll use my trim single command, TS. Bring that guy back. And assuming that we have all of our walls created, our concrete and our CMU walls, now we can go and create some floors. So let's go to our structure tab, floor drop-down menu and hit floor. You can see the default is slab on grade, 5 inches. Okay, that's what we need. In our draw panel, what is the default tool that pops up? Pick walls. It's not any other tool, right? When we're drawing a wall, the default is draw line. It's this guy right here, or line. But once we get to floors, the default is pick walls. So Revit wants a wall. It's basically saying, hey, if you got walls, use them. If you don't, that's fine. We can still model. It can still live and be created. So let's go ahead and hover over the side of the wall where you need a floor. I want this side, the inside side. And then we're going to go around the entire building, okay? Assuming we have CMU wall here, and let's assume that it is not structural, which means that the base of that CMU wall starts at the top of slab. So that means that this floor needs to turn a corner. This floor needs to, now we got to go to pick lines. I get to pick that grid because that floor edge is going to turn the corner, and then I'll pick this other grid. I'm going to exhaust all of my pick wall options, okay? If you have structural walls or CMU walls that are worth it, use them. Remember over here we had mentioned, okay, this represents a step. So if you modeled those CMU walls, you could use the pick walls tool and select the outside face of those walls. So because we didn't model them in this situation, I'm going to use my pick lines. I'll pick the edge of my floor, and now I'm working my way around. Okay. So I only modeled a couple of structural walls there, all right? Now, At the bottom right-hand corner, I have a couple more structural walls. So I'll use my pick walls option and choose the outside face of that wall. And now you at your own speed, if you modeled the rest of those CMU walls, you can use them in your pick walls tool. If you didn't, it's okay. Just know that Revit wants a wall there, all right? So now let's go through and let's model the rest of this floor sketch. And then I'm gonna use my trim to trim everything together, right? I am gonna use my pick lines tool now. Now I'm gonna pick all the lines that I need first, and then I'm gonna trim them all together, all right? So let's just go ahead and do that.